you believe that we started recording right in the middle of 2020 with all of the COVID and lockdowns going on around us, unable to meet up? So like many a young gentleman, we turned to the internet for our entertainment. Tried to find a place where we could meet up and talk about the good, the bad, and that time that Stu saw a pelican on the canal. In order to facilitate our dreams of answering all of the big questions in film, and after a few attempts at recording via other methods to various levels of success, we found Zencastr, a super easy web-based one-stop shop for recording. Log in and you're ready to record in a matter of seconds. It doesn't take a tech genius to get high quality audio or video. And on top of that, the one time we have had an issue, the fact that the multi-layered backups are stored locally means it's easily fixed all in browser. There are plenty of tools you need when you start podcasting, so let Zencastr take that headache away, as it offers a place to record, edit and distribute all from one website. Any lazy bones Jones can pick up and play and have studio quality audio or 4K video put out for the world to see when using Zencastr. Go to zencastr.com/pricing and use our code CAGEFIGHTING and you'll get 30% off your first month of any Zencastr paid plan. We want you to have the same easy experiences we do for all our podcasting and content needs. It's time to share your story. And now, hit the music. Hello and welcome to Cage Fighting. It's your main man Andy Gillard here. Hope everybody's keeping well out there.
In the world. You missed that part off. Hello everyone. You think after 4 years the script will be set?
Like I keep trying to change it and I forget stuff halfway through, and yeah, I just go with whatever feels right in the moment, I suppose, is what you'd say.
I mean, what did go right in the moment for people who listened a couple of weeks ago, I did go on Vinted and I did buy them Jordan 1 Volt shoes. They have arrived at Nisa. I have to pick them up tomorrow. I thought it was one of them things, because I was looking at for so long. I thought I'm going to have to do it, because if they go, and then I'm going to be torturing myself and not buying things I don't need. So I thought, I'll just do it. Why not?
The amount of mockery that I've had for buying Jordans and stuff, and now you're well and truly on that boat as well.
Well, this will be my second pair ever.
Yeah, I'm just sending you a TikTok for you to watch later. Nike have released some trainers that are going to be for NFL teams, and the TikTok I've just sent you, it's the Eagles and the Steelers so far, so it'd be worth looking out and seeing them if you can get a Jets pair, and I'm going to see if they've got any Seahawks. It's a slippery slope trying to collect it really is, because it's not cheap.
The thing is, they already do Nike Pegasus ones, because there was a guy walking to the stadium a couple of weeks ago wearing them.
Okay.
And if you go on the NFL shop, they're like 140 quid.
I'm just looking now. I've found the Seattle Seahawks Pegasuses. You can get them for 120, and they look pretty smart. I mean, I like the Seahawks colours anyway. Navy and lime green fit together pretty nicely. So, yeah. Well, slippery slope, like I said.
I mean, if it carries on, we might get a bit of green and a bit of orange in there, just turn into the Packers completely. I mean, why not? Getting there slow.
Certainly going that way, isn't it, this week?
One a week. This is like collecting them like Pokemon. I was so pissed off though. I try not to let these things get to me that much, but to do it again, having the same problems again. I mean, no one cares about this anyway, but to get up, to go to bed at 10 o'clock, to get up at 12:30, to sit there and throw away 3 pretty guiltless chances. Have you seen the Hail Mary?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, from his around 35, 40
Oh, that's right.
into the end zone. Scored by Lazard. Brilliant. Still lost. Made no difference whatsoever. But he got us back into the game because we were done. But then yet again, threw it away. And if the sheer amount of flags, it's just getting farcical. But there we are.
I mean, it gets to a certain point where you just think, am I a glutton for punishment for keep doing this every week?
Whether it's Sunday night this week, it's even worse. So you got the inevitable torture at 2:00.
Oh, God, yeah.
So I had to get in the pub around about 10ish. So I had to get pretty tanked up to suffer that. There's some good games on that, to be fair. So I can only get to bed. So you look at the two Sky games on Sunday. I mean, this is irrelevant because it's already happened for everyone.
Yeah.
But so I can't even do my patented go to sleep for 2.5 hours because I want to watch all the games. So I might just try and sleep until like 9ish and then just power through until 4.
I think that's the only way to do it. I couldn't be dealing with a nap midway through the evening. I just wouldn't get up.
No.
Too tired. No.
But what's not too tired? His friends.
Yeah. I spent last evening in preparation for this podcast watching probably about a dozen episodes of Friends. Once I started one, I was like, fuck, I want to watch all of them now. And it was tremendous. Like I said to you that I was looking on YouTube for, clips, funny moments from Friends. And that one that you'd mentioned about the cheesecakes episode came on. And I was proper chuckling to myself. I thought, yeah, this is fantastic. It's like a 50-minute video for this best moments of Friends, and it's from the Friends account. I would recommend you give it a watch because it's a great way to spend almost an hour. Really enjoyable.
I did inquire about this because when I've been thinking about the last couple of weeks, I'm now sure that I've watched this since it ended, even though I don't remember doing so. Apparently I did. Apparently we watched it together back in before I got married. So, what's that, 2009? So, I'd watched it pretty recently after it finished. Don't remember at all. No idea. So when I do this, start it again after Christmas, I'm actually quite looking forward to it now after talking about it the last 3 weeks.
Yeah. I mean, it was probably around a similar time that I last watched it, probably about a good 15 years or so ago. It would have been when it was ubiquitously on E4. You'd get 4, 5, 6 episodes a day. That would have been the last time I think that I would have really watched any of it. I don't think I've done a full start to end rewatch. It's just catching episodes here, there, and everywhere. So I've probably watched all of them at some point across a couple of years, just out of order. So yeah, I'll be joining you on that rewatch when January rolls around. I think got to get some of the films that are on the list off the list at the moment because there's just more and more stuff coming out as we're speaking. There's like another 3 films out this Friday. It's going to get impossible to keep up with, I think, at this rate.
What if I watch any more? I'm prepared, shouldn't I? I watched the that Night Sleeper on iPlayer. Surprisingly good. Very very 24 like.
Okay.
That one with Idris on the plane. Did you ever watch that one?
I didn't see it, but it was on the list and then never got around to it.
It's similar to that, and obviously it's BBC budget, so you take the effects with a grain of salt, but it doesn't really matter. It's pretty clever how it's done. It's only 6 episodes as well, so 6 hours.
Okay.
But yeah, that monsters was it Lyle and Eric Menendez?
Is that a documentary? Is it? Oh no, sorry, that's the Ryan Murphy one, isn't it? Because I know they've done a documentary about that as well.
Yeah, I'm doing it that way around because like we did with Snowden, where we watched the film and then watched the documentary afterwards. I thought that's probably the best way to do this. So I'm doing it that way around, and I've got 2 left of that.
How's it been so far?
Good. I think it's as good as Dharma, but still, it's Ryan Murphy, so you know what you're going to get. It's quality from a writing point of view, and they're 2 very fucked up people, and it's very believable, obviously. But yeah, I'd recommend it. It's not going to be the best thing I've seen all year, but then it's perfectly watchable. But and I did try again. I watched the first episode of Slow Horses.
Okay. Just couldn't get into it.
No. I want to see how many I can get trying to force myself through, but I'm just not. It's just not vibing with me. It's just going to be one of them, I think.
I find that really surprising, knowing how 24 he is.
Yeah.
You can't. Like, that opening 10-minute segment, I think he's fantastic. I was immediately hooked.
If it was all
surprised.
If it was all like that and not just in a dusty office building, then I think maybe it would be.
See, not much of it is in the dusty building, to be honest. They do get out of there pretty quickly, I find. I do wonder if I would watch it if I was watching it weekly.
Yeah.
Because I'm not sure if it would lend to that, and especially because it's only 6 episodes that really you could just blast through them in an evening if you wanted to. So I think I did 1 a week when I was watching them, and when season 4 finished, well, I think episode 5 of season 4 had gone on, so I then watched all of them, and then ended with season 6 the day that was released, and I found that probably the best way. I'm not sure it lends itself to the weekly viewing, if I'm honest, but it is a series that I thought was fantastic.
Yeah, and it is one of them where it's so massively highly rated. I think, well, is this just a time and place thing? Have I just got to force my way through it and get into it that way? But there was enough in there. There was enough in there to be intrigued, but it didn't grip me anywhere near as quickly as some of the other nonsense that I've watched.
That is surprising, because I would have thought that'd be right up your street.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. So anyway, we're here to do our top 5 favourite Friends episodes, and then throw in a couple of our favourite guest appearances before we then talk about Never on Tuesday. Nick Cage's film from whatever year it was. I don't have it written down.
88.
Probably the late 88. I was going to say 87, but yeah, 88. We'll round off with that at the end of the episode.
What a treat.
Yeah. Right, so we'll go 5 to 2 cameo / guest appearances, and then our favourite Friends episodes. Right, so my first, so number 5 for myself is the episode. It is season 1, episode 7, the one with the blackout. Now, I remember watching Friends back in, I think we probably had it a year later, so it was probably 1995 when we had it. I know it started in 94, but I'm sure there was a bit of a delay. As was the way it was back then, before the internet. We never got things day and date, did we? And I firmly remember this being the episode that cemented Friends as a show to talk about. Like, I grew up watching, Channel 4 Friday nights with Cheers, Roseanne, Golden Girls, like classic 80s American sitcoms. Stuff that was probably extremely alien to me in Dudley, England, in the 1990s, late 80s. And then Friends came along, and don't get me wrong, obviously I would have been probably about 12-ish when this came out. And these were all mid-20s, but there was something recognisable that it was people at least closer to my age, someone who I was going to be soon enough. And I think you could sort of recognise it a lot better than Cheers, for example. I don't think there was that instant recognition. As great as it was, I don't think I fully got the... And sort of lost in translation a little bit, I suppose, as well, being a British child compared to an American adult. There's probably some of that. But then Friends came along, and this is the episode that whenever I think back to Friends, this is the first one that like my earliest memory of Friends would probably be this episode. Like, I've got split shots of like Rachel coming in after she'd run away from a wedding and everything. But it's Chandler being locked in the ATM vestibule with Jill Goodacre. That's one of my earliest memories, and probably why Chandler was like my early favourite in this show, because of how he delivered all of his lines in that, trying to hide the sarcasm and try and be cool and suave in front of this hot. She wasn't a Playboy model, was she? Victoria's Secrets or something like that, yeah. From what I recall. And Chandler trying to play it cool with them, whilst in the apartment during the blackout they were playing Monopoly, which again is something that I really remember doing. And then Ross is about to ask Rachel out. A cat jumps on him, and you see this. It's that moment where Rossi's got the cat on his shoulders, jumping around in the background whilst they're all sat around singing On Top of the World, looking down on creation. Just this wonderful moment of physical comedy before then Paolo comes into it and everything starts up again. And it was just such an incredible introduction into the world of American sitcoms. So I think that's why I love this episode so much.
I think the thing with Cheers, though, when you mentioned that if you look at it now, it's so set in the 80s that not being there, it's almost impossible. Well, there's no way of getting any kind of knowledge for that time period, is there? It's not just being like being a child in Dudley compared to being a 30-something, I think they were, weren't they? So it's just like the 90s, it was the same there as it was here, pretty much. There was still no internet, so it was similar enough experiences to relate to.
Yeah. Yeah, it very much was, wasn't it? Like we were running with it at the time it was going, whereas I don't think, cognitively at least, we were really on the same page as Cheers when that was about.
It's a bit like Big Bang. I don't like that show at all. I never have done.
Not a fan.
Which again, from the outside looking in, you think, oh yeah, you look at all your stupid stuff in your house and all. You'd love Big Bang Theory. Well, no, maybe that's the exact reason why I don't like it. But for that kind of thing, if you put that to someone now, would they get any of the references? Maybe, but not necessarily like it was at the time.
That is a good question, because I feel like Big Bang is the next step on from Friends.
Yeah.
Like when, obviously, we spoke about it being on E4 constantly. Once Friends ended, Big Bang was the show that replaced it on E4, where it was every episode just churning through it. But much like you, it's not one I've got a lot of love for. And like, looking around the office that I'm in now, you can see the comic books over my shoulder. There's Michelangelo over my other shoulder. I should like that show. I always felt like Big Bang Theory was insulting the people who like that stuff rather than celebrating it. Like, they were the butt of the joke rather than making a joke out of it. They were the joke. And I didn't like that.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe it's like second-hand embarrassment kind of thing.
Almost. Like, it's all fine and well, them saying about, like, you know, you can't talk to women. It was obviously one of the big jokes that runs through that show. But there's only so many times you can make that joke before you just say, look at these fucking losers for 15 years. I think it ran for, maybe even longer than that, for all I know. It just became, you know, you can tell a joke about the subject, but once that subject has been, the same joke has been told a dozen times, it just becomes an insult. It crosses that line, I think.
Yeah. And then you got young Sheldon, so there's even more.
Well, that's finished now, I think, because I occasionally caught the very end of that before AEW Dynamite started. And I think that finished maybe a couple of months ago. And there's now another spin-off from that's due to start any moment now. couldn't even tell you what it's called. It's a spin-off of Young Sheldon, so we're getting a spin-off of a spin-off. I wonder if that's ever happened before, because I think Mork and Mindy span out of Happy Days, and Joni Loves Chachi spun out of Happy Days, but I think they were both from the same show rather than twice removed, whereas this one is going to be a spin-off of a spin-off. They won't let it die, will they? Let's be honest. If there's cash available to them to get it out there, they'll just keep milking it.
Well, you see people with Big Bang bags and stuff, so it is a license to print money out, so there we are.
I mean, how many Bazinga t-shirts do you see knocking around? Like, you still see it now after all this time.
Well, you still, for how many years did you hear that stupid noise going off for people's text messages?
Yeah. Tiresome, isn't it?
It's not tiresome, it's the beach in mine. The one with the jellyfish, my number 5. When you were saying about relatable stuff, and I don't know if this was the first time they'd gone to the beach, but it was definitely one of the first, if not the first. And it was always that thing where you could, even in the early 90s, you could always tell when they were using an outside broadcast camera compared to the studio, because it looked a bit shitter.
Yes. It was slightly grainy, wasn't it, in comparison? Yeah.
No, the old faulty towers trick. But yeah, I mean, the whole thing, not just about the jellyfish anyway, but and pissing on it. That, again, like I said about Thanksgiving, educating us. I didn't know that's how you got rid of a jellyfish thing. I'd see jellyfish all my entire life. Every time.
Well, I don't think it's actually true. I think it's an urban legend.
It is.
But yeah, I'll same as you. That was my introduction into urination.
Well, there is some science behind it, apparently, because of the ammonia and things like that.
Urea, isn't it? I think urea can disinfect whatever it is, and it's but it needs to be in like much larger quantities than Chandler pissing on Monica.
Just for the sheer uncomfortableness of it all, that whole section is it's just pure. When you're talking about the physical comedy of it all, and that's what it is, and it's the cringe factor is massive. And what was this season 4?
3? Oh, was it 4?
Season 4, episode 1. You got that far. Because I used to say this to my granddad as well, because we'd watch it and stuff. And watch the repeats, and he'd always say, I don't get it. And I went, well, you don't get it unless you know the people. Unless you know the characters, you don't get it. Because they are the show. It's not like a sketch comedy. It's not one of these things where you can just jump in anywhere you want. It's built up over time. But the whole thing with Ross playing along with the letter thing because he can't be arsed, or something like that. And then he's just nodding, and then it's about him taking responsibility, and then the whole screaming we're on a break at the end, and it's just perfect.
Oh, it is excellent. It was 24 pages, front and back. Yeah, just the delivery of his lines in that were superb. That's the question, Stu. Were they on a break? Was he fine to do what he did?
I think this is going on memory, obviously, but I always remember having this argument with people saying that he was right. And maybe because of what I said last week, and that Rachel was a bit of a bitch anyway. But yeah, I always sided with, he was right.
Yeah, I agree. That they were on a break. They weren't together when it happened. That is literally what they said in the episode, was that they need to take a break, so they went on a break. But obviously there's no comedy to be mined out of that, so they had to drag it out for as long as they did. So my number 4, I'm cheating a little bit because it's a double episode, but it's the one with the proposal, and I don't think you can have the one without the other one, really. So
yeah,
I'm going to put them together for that. think at this point we'd been on like this journey with these characters where they'd gone from mid-20s to their early 30s at this point. We'd sort of grown up with them somewhat. They were ready to take the next steps in their lives, but, you know, as it was, Chandler was going to propose to Monica, but there was a spanner in the works when Richard turns up to the dinner that he was going to propose at. And this one slight mishap, like he could have just powered through, but he didn't. But this one, as I say, bump in the road, it just had Chandler reversing to who he was right at the start of the series, like this idiot, for want of a better word, pretending now that he didn't want to get married to try and throw Monica off the scent of a proposal. And then Monica devolves into this neurotic mess that we'd seen her before, obsessing over things, worrying about everything. And, you know, she wanted to know what the outcome would be had she have stayed with Richard versus where she is now. And just, as I say, this mess that she became. And right at the end, when you thought that everything had been lost and Chandler finally returns back to the apartment when he can't find Monica, and Joey tells him, "Oh, she's left. She's gone back to her parents. She needs some time." And then when he walks into there and there's just candles everywhere, and Monica gets down on one knee to propose to him, but she can't get through it. And beautiful. Just, it's one of my favourite moments in any sitcom ever. I just thought it was so well done. It was so well played that I never saw it coming. I thought that, especially because it was the last episode of season 6, when he said that she's gone, I thought, okay, so we're going to start the next season will be how they get back together. But no, it wasn't. The next season is going to be them working towards marriage.
Yeah, and especially back then as well, when that wasn't a thing that happened, really. Women taking the lead, women proposing.
Yeah, it's right. I mean, it's much more common today. I mean, it's still obviously heavily, it appears to be the men doing it, but it's very rare, and it would always be seen as sort of less than. I vaguely remember, it used to be that women could only propose on, was it Valentine's Day? Oh, no, that was it. It was, leap year, wasn't it? 29th of February. So once every 4 years was, I remember that quite vividly, strangely enough, and I don't know why. But yeah, and so it's sort of, I'm not saying it broke boundaries because it probably hasn't changed massively, but it feels more accepted now than it ever did.
I mean, I don't know anyone at all, or have ever heard of anyone who the woman's been the one to propose in my entire life.
Don't think I do. Look, you've heard about it.
Yeah.
Maybe it just gets reported more. I don't know.
Yeah. It's a curious case. I need people's input with this one because I genuinely got no idea. I mean, I did steal the candles thing. That's what I did. I had like a runway. Because it was a big long room, so I had a run, like a flight plan of tea light candles down the room, coming into an arrow towards me at the end. And it sounds sillier than it was me, so of course it was.
Yeah.
And I'd got my PS3 at the time, the original PS3 that had the card reader in it. And so I'd done it on Paint, and I put this whole thing, "Will you marry me?" on JPEG, and then put it on the thing and put it in the PS3 so that it was on the telly. So I didn't even say the words. She walked in with this tea light runway, and I just pointed at the screen, started crying. "Word, Daddy."
And here we are 15 years later. Where were you when you proposed then?
I was in the living room.
Oh, so your house now, okay.
Yeah. Oh, no, well, not this one. It was in the one down the road. Yeah, because it was, so what was that, 2009, 8, 9, something like that? I don't know. I can't remember. But I remember doing it because I'd planned it for ages. I thought, yeah, this is either gonna be brilliant or cheesy as fuck, and it was both.
Perfect. It's exactly what you want, isn't it?
But obviously, I got the candle idea from this.
Makes sense. Like, it is weirdly romantic, and I don't know why. Because they're only ever get used in proposals or during blackouts.
Yeah.
Or why else would you bother? Or Christmas, yeah.
Friends has actually influenced my life more than I thought.
Yeah, I think so. So what's your number 4?
My number 4 is, again, I haven't done anything in this episode. I couldn't even remember what this was called, so this took ages to even find it. It was the one with the embryos, season 4, episode 12.
Now, is this the one where Phoebe finds out, or she finds out she's having triplets, or is this the one before?
It's where she's attempting to get pregnant for a...
Okay, right.
Frank? Is it Frank?
Frank, yeah, and... Oh, I know it's Deborah Jo Rupp was his wife at that point, but I can't remember what her character name was now.
Was it Alicia? Something like that?
I can't remember. Because she was his teacher, wasn't she? And then they got together.
But it was when the chicken grew up into a rooster, and there was the whole similar thing with that. But it was about the trivia quiz. That's what I was thinking of, and that was that same episode where they.
Oh wow! So the episode where they lost the apartment,
was the same. Well, that's why I was looking at the apartment one, and it's not there. I thought, what? Where? It's got to be.
So I would have thought that would be called the one with the quiz.
Yeah.
Because that's like the main thing you think about with that episode.
Yeah. So no, it was the one where they take the apartment, and then I had to go on Screen Rant in the end and find it on there, and it's got a thing there that I'd forgot about as well, the running joke about Chandler's job and how no one actually knows what he does.
A transponster. The answer that they gave. I don't actually know what the answer is, but I remember Rachel came up with transponster was the answer that they got wrong. Yeah, that is a good episode. I would never have guessed the title of it though.
No, it doesn't make any sense.
Because the big event is the switch of the apartments.
Yeah. Alice, not Alicia.
Right, okay.
Close enough.
Yeah, very close. Because it's not on my list, but one of my other favourite episodes during the apartment swap period is the one with the free porn. And they were really worried about turning it off because they didn't.
It might go away.
Who lost the free porn? That is a cracking episode. My third one, it's probably only a couple of episodes after that because, actually, what season is that one? The one with the embryos? Is that season 4?
No, it's... 12. Season 4, episode 12.
Okay, so this one's just before then this one. So it is season 4, episode 8, the one with Chandler in a box. Chandler and Joey is my favourite relationship in Friends. I think the way they worked together it felt the most real, I think, out of everyone. Like, we've all got mates who you sort of just bounce off and can talk shit and take the piss out of each other, and you still love each other after it all. And I always love that relationship. And I feel like these are probably the two ends of the Friends spectrum. I think if you plotted everybody out on a chart, you'd have Chandler at one end and Joey at the other. The other 4 seem to have this link as well. It's like, obviously, Ross and Monica being siblings. Rachel went to school with both of them. Phoebe lived with Monica. Chandler only comes in towards the end because he went to college with Ross. And then Joey just happened to rent a room off Chandler completely on accident because the downstairs neighbour, whose name I can't remember, Mr. Somebody, he scares away the guy who was going to rent the apartment. So Joey just happens to be the next one in line and moves in there. So you'd never have put these guys together as a friendship. And it worked so well between the two of them. They just ended up becoming best buds, even though they were so weird and different to each other. But then Chandler betrays Joey when he kisses his girlfriend at the time, played by Paget Brewster. So in order to make it up to him, as his penance to him, Joey makes Chandler lie in a box for 6 hours because that's what happened to Joey episodes prior when they got robbed. The girl eventually comes to break up with Chandler because she doesn't want to get in between him and Joey. Chandler can't say anything, and it's kind of heartbreaking that he has to just lie there and accept this because he either risks losing Joey or he loses the girl. And he has this sort of this moment of just, despair, I suppose it would be. And then Joey eases his stance on the matter and he just opens it up and tells him to run after her. It's just so sweet. Just such an incredibly sweet moment between these two strange men. That was just kind of beautiful and lovely and kind of heartwarming. So I love that episode. I thought it's brilliant.
So you've gone for a lot of episodes with heart and all mine are stupid.
I've got... Yeah, I like my number one is... kind of stupid as well, I think. Yeah.
I think it's kind of perfect, really, because that's what Friends was. That's why it works so well.
Yeah. Without a doubt, 100%. It had the both. It had the heart and it had the comedy, and that's what you need. I think if you go too far either way, you risk losing something. This walked the line between the two. There aren't many that I think have been as successful when at marrying the two together.
I mean, if you go too much towards the drama, you get Cold Feet. Which I did love Cold Feet, and I ever since when it came back, I've watched them all, and it's still remarkably the same.
Okay.
And obviously,
I only ever saw the odd episode, so I don't know enough about it.
Helen Baxendale was in both, so.
Oh, of course. Was this John Thompson? Was he?
Yeah.
No. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, Faye Ripley, the posh guy who I never remember the name of. But it's more of a humorous drama than a comedy or sitcom.
I get you. Was that the one that Andrew Lincoln was in?
No, Andrew Lincoln was in...
No, it's Teachers, wasn't it?
Yeah. I never watched that one. That was that BBC as well, Teachers?
Possibly.
I can't remember.
Can't remember.
Cold Feet was ITV, so it was the British answer to Friends, and just because it had a lot of people in their 30s.
Right, okay.
And you had similar kind of things where you had the couples and... Oh, Jimmy Nesbitt as well, obviously.
Okay.
But it is really good. And I think it has kind of held up as well. And going back because obviously I hadn't watched it for a long, long time, so I watched it again from the start before it came back. And it was a lot better watching it as a 30-something rather than as a kid.
Right.
So you kind of get it. So, yeah, it's probably worth having a delve into the ITV hub to watch it on there or through what it means. And just giving it a go and see what you think, because I think it did get a bad rap being compared when it was really nothing like it at all, other than the premise of three couples. But there we are. So you go from three couples to the one with the holiday armadillo. Season 7, episode 10. This one was the obvious one. The name was easy to find. But I couldn't remember what was it, because he couldn't. It was something to do. But he had the boy, didn't he? And he wanted to dress up for him and not Santa because of the Jewish stuff? And was the armadillo costume the only one left? I can't remember. There was something about that?
Yeah, he was going to dress up as... Yeah, that was it. The only one that was left was he wanted to teach Ben about Hanukkah, didn't he?
Yeah, that's what it was, yeah.
Yeah. But I think Ben was more interested in Santa Claus, but there was no Santa left, so he was the holiday armadillo.
Until Santa was there.
Yeah.
Then the armadillo was... When you think of that time, what was that? So, season 7, so that was what, 2001-ish? 2001?
Yeah, that's about right, I think.
So there was a period of time where you had the Holiday Armadillo and Mr. Hankey at the same time. The alternative Christmas message that we all need.
Yeah. That's a point. So 2001. So, actually, no, I've recently watched Sopranos. You can tell, like, there is a point after the 2001 series where they mention the events of September 11th. Friends never references it, but Friends is obviously very steeped in New York.
Mm.
I don't know if that's weird or not, because obviously I know it's light and what have you, but like I think if you watch anything now that's set in that area, it does get mentioned, especially if it's set around that time. Do you think if they did it now that they would probably mention it? Do you think they just try to avoid it and keep everything light and happy?
Probably the second there. Because what is the point? What's the point? Because you had the whole thing of rah rah America and everything was ridiculous, and the whole, how Spider-Man was recut in the first place. The Raimi Spider-Man, to have so many flags and all that nonsense going on. And obviously cutting that scene out with the spider web that was in the trailer that was amazing. So it was probably the right thing to do, because it doesn't affect them. It just brings everyone down, and it's especially right in the heat of the moment as well, which it would have been. You don't really want TV to be an escape, especially in a sitcom. So I'll get it. For me, it's probably the right choice.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. I think it would be too heavy a topic for something like Friends to really delve into, whereas obviously Sopranos is a much, much darker show in comparison.
So I'll just check in something. So when did... so it's a lot later. So Fringe came out in 2008. I think spoilers for Fringe-ish. The whole thing is weird. I mean, everyone should have watched it by now. I've talked about it enough.
Yeah.
But there's a part where there's the other universe, which is just like a split version, like the Upside Down, but good. And I think it's the end of season 2, but the camera pans out and it has it with the Twin Towers still there.
Okay, right.
And the statue, because they're showing that something's not right, and so they pull out, and the Twin Towers are there, and the Statue of Liberty's not got oxidized, so it's still bronze.
Okay, right.
So that's how they differentiate between the two, and that's less than a decade after it happened, and they're using it as a plot device. So,
I do think it's interesting. Cause I do feel like media it does hinge on pre and post 9/11. When you look at the way things are represented, it feels like, I think 24 is probably the prime example of it. In the post 9/11 world, I think 24 is very much the thing. That's how a lot of media went, especially American media anyway. It did seem to go very much towards rah rah America. I think he summed it perfectly. It's a lot of xenophobia and fear of the other. It was definitely on the rise post 9/11.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that wouldn't fit in this world, would it? The world of Friends.
No, and Friends is like candy floss.
Hmm.
You don't want to bug in your candy floss, do you? So.
No, that's very true. Right, so my number 2 is, this one's probably another one that's a little bit more on the heart side than anything. It's the one with the prom video. So Rachel and Ross had got together, but then Rachel found the list that Ross had made when he was trying to decide between Rachel or Julie. So they then fell apart. As a thank you to Chandler, Joey buys him a bracelet, like this hideous fucking massive chunky bracelet that he then loses, and he goes to buy another one before then finding the original. So he gives Joey this other, and it's when he gives Joey this other bracelet, after Joey had heard him insulting his present, that Joey just lights up and said we'll be bracelet buddies. And he looks so happy and sweet. And the only problem I have with this episode is Phoebe doesn't get a lot of story in this one. And I've found with watching it, there's always at least one friend. Like the A and the B plot will have 2 or 3. But there's always one friend who's just sort of there, flitting around doing it. And more often than not, it's Phoebe. It's like we said last week, I think it took them a while to get to a point where they fully fleshed Phoebe out. And because this was season 2 at this point, Phoebe wasn't a fully fleshed out character. She was the comic relief in a comedy show, almost, if you get what I mean. Monica and Ross's parents come round to Monica because she's cooking for them. She's going to ask them for money because she'd been fired from her job. So everything's sort of set up for it to go kind of crazy. Phoebe does give us the line about the lobsters, about Ross and Rachel being each other's lobsters, which at this point, I still see merchandise on sale in like fucking B&M and stuff in town. I've got, Friends lobster, and that. It's an immortal line that was sort of throwaway when you watch the episode. It's amazing how much that has held on after all of this. And then yeah, it absolutely was. And then right at the end of the episode, after everything had sort of gone wrong for everybody, they sit down to watch this videotape, and it's from Monica and Rachel going to their prom together. Rachel gets stood up, so Ross is sort of pushed by his parents to put his dad's tuxedo on and ask Rachel to go to prom together. And just as he walks out of the room to ask her, Chip, Rachel's boyfriend, finally turns up, and they whisk her off to prom, and you just see Ross looking so incredibly dejected. This is, I think, one of the most important episodes in the Friends lore of things, and lots sort of hinges around this moment because Rachel then kisses Ross, that then leads us on to the pretty much the beginning of them as a proper couple, without the speed bump in the middle of it. It was such an important episode in the grand scheme of things. And it was just really well handled, I thought, by everyone who was involved. And everyone had their little bit to do that just made it into this great story. The B story with Chandler and Joey, brilliant. Phoebe gave us the lobster. And then you've got the other 3 doing their bit, which furthers the main story. So I love that episode.
Did she not have like a stupid prosthetic nose as well?
Yes. So young Rachel had a long, crooked nose that she then has fixed. So in the one with all the Thanksgivings, so where the episode where Monica goes from wearing the fat suit to being thin, where she cuts off Chandler's toe, it's set at 2 separate Thanksgivings, 1 year after the other. And we've got one where she's got the big crooked nose, and then this second one is where her nose is been chiseled down and she's had a nose job. And that was the first time I think that we saw her with the big nose and Monica in the fat suit.
Yeah, but both things would probably not be allowed, would they?
They would be questionable, I think.
Like, what are we on now? Are we on number 2?
Number 2 now, yeah.
Yeah, number 2. I mean, it's kind of a cheat, but again, like yours, it counts because it's a 2-parter. The one with Ross's wedding. and mainly for part one because of the whole Joey and Chandler in London thing, because it was always going to be like that.
Yeah.
Again, I don't think I'd been to London at that point. So was that season 4, episode 20? Yeah, so episode 23, 24. Yeah, so how old would I have been then? 9? No, I wouldn't have been to London at all. So I'd only been 14, 15 at the time. So seeing London like you expect on telly, and then seeing an Americanized, like a fairy tale version of what London's like.
Yeah.
And seeing them two so happy, I thought, oh, maybe he's paved with gold after all. Well, little did we know. But the whole thing about it, and even then, considering it's only, is it season? Yeah, it is season 4.
Yeah, season 4.
Yeah, so it's pretty early into it, and you think, yeah, they've obviously gone global because of it. What a massive success this show's been. And I remember that being a thing even then. I remember it being mentioned in news, in papers and things and magazines. That, oh, your friend is coming to London. I thought, what, really? But yeah, just the whole thing in the first one, and then obviously the second one with the immortal, I'd say, Rachel, and being genuinely shocked.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, mouth open, couldn't believe that he'd done that.
It's Red Wedding adjacent.
Yeah, I get it. As well, when you look at the cast who were in that as well, like the British stalwarts, like proper actors, but also fucking Sarah Ferguson was in it. Like, it's just kind of mental.
Yeah, proper. Would they have even been known? I presume they would have been known, wouldn't they?
I do. I mean, to Jennifer Saunders, Hugh Laurie was in it. Like, it would have been a long time before House. He'd probably have been best known for Jeeves and Wooster and that Fry and Laurie thing. I don't know if they would have been. I really don't know if they'd have been known over that side of the ocean at that point. I don't even know if Jennifer Saunders is a big name over there now. I know she's done bits and bobs. I know she was like the fairy godmother in Shrek and stuff. And I know Ab Fab, but I don't know if Americans know these people.
And she was in not the Jewel of the Nile, the last Poirot film.
Oh, was she? Oh, yeah. Wasn't both of them were in her? Yeah, Saunders, weren't they?
Yeah, they're both in that. But again, that was a Kenneth Branagh British thing. So, yeah, actually, they're probably no one has got any idea who they are. A bit like when we talk about Rick Mail every year on Twitter, and like people and Mortimer, and no one knows who they are.
They're like British institutions that, probably have never left these shores when it comes to, wider conversations about pop culture. Yeah. I would be intrigued to know if anyone knows who Jennifer Saunders is outside of this country. But yeah, great episodes. I love those ones. And right, so that was the second one. Right, so cameo. Stu, you've got a list of 6.
Yeah, I just went down the ones. I'll leave the ones that you got anyway.
Okay.
Gary Oldman as the soldier actor, spitting everywhere.
Spitting in his face, yeah. I'd forgot about that.
Because I remember, again, at the time, we had a teacher who replaced Mr. Dobbins in science, and he had a really, really bad... Unfortunately for him, we were on page 66 that day. And the first words out of his mouth, everyone just burst out laughing. I thought, oh no. Oh dear. It's a supply teacher in science where we've got a teacher who knocked himself out because he hit his head off a gas tap. It was that kind of place. And And it reminded me, it was a bit, again, similar kind of time.
Mm.
And because we were a performing arts school as well, and we had one of Mr. Clifton, our head of drama, was very thespian about things, and he was about pronunciation and all this kind of stuff.
Mm.
So when he's spitting and they're spitting at each other, it was piss funny. So I thought, yeah, again, you're identifying things from a completely different point of view, but in the same kind of realm. Your mate from Scary Movie, Anna Faris. Just because I like them films. It was nice seeing her.
Mm. I don't like those films, but I do really like her.
Obviously, we've already mentioned Richard, so it doesn't matter about that one. But he wasn't even he was more of a recurring character, wasn't he? So the one I'm going to mention, Kathleen Turner,
Chandler's dad.
Yeah.
Yeah,
again,
she put on one hell of a show, didn't she? In that,
never in a million years would that happen now.
no chance.
But look how funny it was. And this is probably one of the reasons where all the millennials are all kicking off when it was put back on Netflix again. No, it's all transphobic. Oh, grow up. It was the 90s. People had fun. But it is one of the most ridiculous performances ever. Oh, she properly leads into it as well, doesn't she? It's amazing.
And
you know,
the top, and yeah.
Someone like that who's like renowned for being so glamorous and everything, to play effectively someone who's gone through the transition, just superb.
Like, don't get me wrong, I fully believe that groups should be represented on TV. I do honestly believe that. But I do also think that there has to be a starting point. Like, I think if they'd have just jumped in early doors with a man in drag, there's every chance that would have been offensive. And I don't think they were really... I haven't seen that particular episode for a while, in fairness, but I don't remember it being a particularly offensive one. And it's episodes like that where I think it starts the conversation that moves us down the line into being able to accept to have an actual trans person playing that role and it not being an issue. But I don't think you get to there without these... I mean, missteps might be the right word, but I don't think it was done offensively. I think it was done with a modicum of respect, at least.
I mean, that was part of the joke, is how good she looked.
Yeah, it was, wasn't it? They did like bring that up several times. So I do think that you need to take those steps to get better representation down the line. It's not an all or nothing, it's not a zero-sum game in these things. I think you have to feel your way into it. And I think he did it quite well, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, I mean, it was obviously played for laughs because it's a comedy. And it was, if this was now, it'd be absolutely destroyed for, oh, it's woke, look what they're doing. Then put nothing's sacred, all the usual things. You see that guy on the Bachelor, where the one who's been playing, he's been in a role. I mean, it was obvious he was taking the piss for anyway. But I mean, again, it's a discussion point, and what he's done is incredible that he's not been killed.
It's just, I don't know what he was trying to do, because I understand it, in his mind it was a scientific research, and basically everyone just sort of accepted him and was like, "Good on you, mate."
Yeah, no one cared.
Like, yeah, you try to prove that people are dickheads, and everyone just sort of accepted you. That I don't know. That kind of goes against your thesis a little bit there, doesn't it? Very bizarre action.
But it's that Dylan Mulvaney farce with the Bud Light and all that. Apparently, that's what. Well, I watched the interview with him this morning because I was fascinated by it all. So I thought, well, surely this is going to end soon. And then it's all come out. He's on an interview and everything now. And he was saying, yeah, and I get what he's saying. The whole thing to do it for 3 months. Honestly, 3 weeks would have been fine. You've got in, you've done your message, whatever. But to keep doing it for 3 months, very bizarre behaviour.
You know what it comes down to, Stu? It's something we discussed in the group chat earlier. It's people being obsessed with being famous.
Yeah, probably.
That's all it is. It keeps his name in the news feed for an extra 5 minutes. It's all it ever is with people, isn't it? I think a lot of the time now it's just being vacuous cunts for most of it, to be perfectly honest. Bruce Willis, I'm surprised he's not on your list.
He is on my list. I just thought about because you'd mentioned him anyway. When she breaks him down, he starts crying in her lap.
Oh God, doesn't he do a song and a dance in the mirror? And I can't remember what it is. Like you said, he's a top guy or something like that, and Ross overhears him. Oh, I can't remember what it is. That was a good moment.
Yeah, because of Bruce Willis being famous here, Belland.
Yeah.
And then sending himself up like this was very good, very enjoyable. As was that. Yeah, well, mention him in a minute. Go on.
Yeah, I'd love to know how he got on with the other 6, Bruce Willis, because by all accounts, most people who have worked with him, there aren't many who come out the other side saying he was a great person to get along with. And with someone like Friends, where you've got those 6 who've been together for a long, long time, and they would have been a tight-knit group at that point, I kind of wonder how him coming in as an outsider with this reputation of being an arsehole, I'd love to know how that sort of meshed together.
But didn't he come from that anyway, though? He wasn't that he came from
it.
Yeah.
Wasn't it? Yeah. So I think he had worked to that level and then he became a film star. And by all accounts, I think he looked down on TV work at that point. But I'm guessing, much like our beloved Nick Cage, he had a bit of a downturn for a while. So, but then, was Friends ever a step down? Even though it was TV, it was the biggest thing in the world for quite some time.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the sheer amount of people who were in it just for a brief second.
Julia Roberts, who would have been probably the biggest film star in the world. Season 2, I think that was. So that would have been 95, 96. She was in it, yeah. I think she was actually going out with Matthew Perry, wasn't she, at the time? If I remember rightly. So that might have been partly why, but even so, massive, massive name for them to have got for the show at that point.
Yeah, and obviously that's why Brad Pitt was in it as well.
Yeah.
Because of her, but still seeing Brad Pitt on TV.
Yeah, that was one of the names that I'd got, Brad Pitt, obviously. It's like, yeah, he was... I mean, this was post Ocean's 11, I think, which was probably, as high as he'd ever been on the A-list, I think, at that point. So, yeah, it was a huge get, even though, obviously, he was in there for his wife or fiancée, whatever she was at that point. That was a massive get. Good episode as well, that one. Watching Brad Pitt and Ross act like a couple of school children, swapping rumours that they made up about Rachel and just acting like silly little kids. Very fun episode, that one is.
Was it the We Hate Rachel Green Club or something like that?
Yeah, it was, wasn't it? Can't remember the particular name of that episode. It might have been the one with the rumour, I think, if I remember rightly. Great episode. Sorry, Stu.
The long arm of the law, is that what you're going to say?
Yes, yeah. Mr. Danny DeVito as the stripper was... That might be one of my favourite ever cameos of anybody in anything ever.
Yeah.
When he's trying to dance all sexily and gives himself a heart attack. I love Danny DeVito. I loved him before It's Always Sunny, and I think he got a new lease of life as an actor when he joined that cast. And this would have been well before that. I grew up watching stuff like Twins. I think you're the same age as me, so Twins would definitely have been, on your view list way back when. I feel like growing up, that was the film that was on every Easter, like a bank holiday Easter. If it's not Bond, it was Twins. It's that kind of a movie that it was always there.
Yeah.
Junior as well, another one with him and Arnie, wasn't it? I don't feel like I've seen that one as many times, but Twins is legendary. Have they ever done the second film, Triplets?
The one with Eddie Murphy?
Mm. They always threatened that it was going to be happening, and I don't know if they ever actually got round to doing it in the end.
Well, it was confirmed like 4 times, and then it never happened.
Yeah. There's nothing on IMDb for Triplets, at least. Watch this space. I mean, I wouldn't hate it. I would 100% watch it. Hang on, what we got? Oh, there's a blank thing for Triplets on IMDb. So who knows? It would be nice if they could, though. But Christ, I mean, if you think how different they all are now, one's gone on to be a governor, for crying out loud. That would be mad. The last name that I've got on my list, so Maggie Wheeler, Janice. The one particular episode that she's not even in it. It's the episode where Chandler forgets to get Monica a Valentine's Day present, so he gives her a mixtape. But it was a mixtape that he was given by Janice for his birthday, I think it was. So whilst they're having a nice romantic slow dance, and then Janice's voice just comes in, starts singing, "You look beautiful tonight," I think is the song, or something to that effect. And just that whiny nasal moan over the top of this song, where Monica realises that this incredibly sweet gesture that Chandler had done wasn't incredibly sweet, and it wasn't Chandler who did it. I thought it was just such a brilliant use of this character who just occasionally pops up even, and just steals every scene she's in. So yeah, Maggie Wheeler, I think, brilliant. So, number 1. It's one that was mentioned last week. And this is the episode that I think we get to see every one of the 6 in their most base form. Like, this is the most Ross, the most Monica, the most Chandler we've ever seen. It's season 3, episode 2, the one where no one's ready. Ross is so tightly wound because it's a very important night. He's receiving an award. Monica is her neurotic mess because she hears this voicemail from Richard. She doesn't know if it was a new voicemail, if it was one that he left when they were still together. Chandler is being his sarcastic arsehole self because Joey wouldn't let him sit in the seat. So he goes off and steals Joey's boxers and then tricks Joey into drinking some fat as well. Joey and could I be wearing any more clothes? Phoebe wearing a Christmas decoration to cover a stain that she got on her dress. And Rachel just being a fucking nightmare that she is because she won't just get ready, and when, rather than supporting her boyfriend on his very important night, she ends up making it all about herself. It's the most any of those characters have been those characters. It just feels like if anyone said to me, show me an episode to explain Ross, I'd show them that. If they said, show me an episode that shows me what Phoebe is, it's that episode. And you'd say that for all 6 of them.
Yeah.
So that's the one for me. I think it's a tremendous episode.
I thought that's what you were going to say, and you said it in a roundabout way, that if you want one episode to show what Friends is like, that was probably it.
Yeah. Absolutely. It's the purest Friends, I think, distilled to its essence.
Because you don't necessarily need, like I said earlier, you need some backstory. That one, I don't think you do. No, because like the MacGuffin is effectively they need to get out of the house. Yeah. Very
simple. There's no B plot really, it's all A plot. All 6 of them mingling together. Perfect. And then he goes to drink the fat at the end. That always makes me gasp whenever he does it.
Probably one of them episodes as well that was just written because they couldn't go anywhere else and they needed a cheap day.
Yeah. Because it never leaves Monica and Rachel's apartment. It's a bottle episode, effectively, isn't it?
Bit like the Fly episode in Breaking Bad.
Yeah, that's exactly it, yeah. So yeah, that's my favourite episode.
It's similar to my favourite episode, the fact that it was mentioned last week as well. The one where everyone finds out. just because Ross being the only one not to know, and them all completely taking the piss for the entire episode and stringing it along as much as possible and seeing Chandler squirm is just, again, like you said, it's pure Friends.
Yeah, completely agree.
And I think by that point it was when I was. It was on a Thursday, wasn't it? It was on a Thursday night, Friends. But it was on at 9:00, so I'd watch. But that was my Thursday. I had planned I'd watch Bargain Hunt when the great David Dickinson was on it. See, the great time when Bargain Hunt was at night and not in the daytime. Because it was
Don't even remember that.
He's so popular, he got moved to nighttime.
It was that, like, I remember being at university and you sort of roll in after watching Bargain Hunt. Everyone used to watch it.
Yeah, it was great. Well, it was shit, but it was great. But that's what I used to do, because Mum used to go shopping on a Thursday, so she used to come back, and I'd have my Balti nuts and a bar of Galaxy. Watch Bargain and then watch Friends. That was my Thursday night. It was perfect. And watching that one, I will remember it was one of them face hurt moments because I was crying so much laughing at it. It was perfect.
So when I did my list originally, this was in my 5. The notes that I'd made for it, this is Friends at its most fun. Because it was all farcical nonsense. The A and the B plot in this were just silly fun. Ross trying to buy the apartment, Ugly Naked Guy's apartment. And he sent him a basket of muffins. And everyone else had sent him muffins and a pinball machine and just bigger and better things. So Ross takes it into his own hands and goes round to meet him, and he ends up being Ugly Naked Ross. and like in the episode, I thought, just brilliant, silly nonsense. And yet the whole thing with Phoebe finding out and Rachel knew, and now they were going to confront them, but rather than do that, they decided to try and get them to admit it. And it was the whole, they don't know that we know that they know that we know. And just silly nonsense. Oh, yeah. Brilliant episode. Again, this is one of the ones where you'd say to someone, this is what Friends is. Yeah, brilliant fun. Right, going to take a quick break and we'll be back with Never on Tuesday. I forgot the name then. Welcome back to the second part. Right, Never on Tuesday. I'd only heard of this film because of this cameo by Cage, which I remember seeing it on a YouTube clip of just that, his 10-second cameo, if it's even that long, to be perfectly honest. Stu, I feel like there's a lot of films from this era that are very like cult statusy.
Yeah.
But are still quite famous. And I don't feel like this is one of those films. I'd never heard of it outside of the Cage nonsense.
Yeah, it feels like it should be like Caddyshack or something like that.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Because it is pretty outrageous. So of the stuff that goes on and what they say and what they talk about is pretty insane. No, I don't know why the fact that this guy has never made a film before. He's 19 years old. I mean, that's what crazy with the whole situation with it all. He's been trusted to make this film that he's written overnight. How has he got these stars in it?
Well, yeah, that's my crazy, is that you look at the cameos in this film and they're just kind of mental for late 80s. You're looking at Nick Cage, Carrie Elwes, Emilio Estevez, Gilbert Gottfried, Judd Nelson, Charlie Sheen. In the late 80s, those are named actors. They're, solid. I think you'd have at least 2 of them would have been in the Breakfast Club by that point. Gilbert Gottfried done a bit of everything. It might be a little bit early for Problem Child, but again, he's a stand-up comedian, so people know who he is. Carrie Elwes, probably had done Princess Bride by that point.
Yeah, but his brother was a producer on this. That's why he was in it.
That makes sense. But even so, this is a lot of big names who just come on for a minute and piss off. It's really bizarre.
But they come on and then they give ridiculous performances. Like, why is Cage got a fake nose for?
I don't know. Between the hair and the nose and the weird laugh, I don't understand a single thing. Like, I don't know what to say. What was he thinking? It doesn't make any sense, especially for this period of Cage, because we've seen him do bonkers shit a little bit later, and he's not famous enough to do anything that stupid.
I mean, was he even paid?
That's a good question.
Is there some weird, like, 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon about... I mean, Kevin Bacon could have been it. It's the right era.
Yeah.
How these people all know each other in a weird way, and they've just done it for a laugh, and that's exactly what he's done. And he said, "I'll drive up in this ridiculous car with a fake nose, hair, and put a silly laugh on, and then drive away again."
I mean, so just in a nutshell, this film is the two guys crash into the woman and they're just stuck in the middle of nowhere. Nick Cage comes up within a few minutes of the crash, offers to help them. They say no. This film could have ended within 5 minutes. Like, if one of them said, take us to the next station so we can call the police and get this sorted. Job done. So the very first decision they have to make makes no sense. And then the rest of the film spins out of that. It really didn't. Just from a pure logic standpoint, I don't understand why this film exists.
Well, no, because if you go in film school about it, is there a kind of character arc where they kind of learn and they're better people at the end of the ordeal? Maybe.
Just trying to think. I mean, she's a lesbian and then she isn't at the end. That's the only... I don't want to say growth because that's not the right word. That's the only change any of the characters have. And that doesn't make any sense.
Well, for the first time in a long time, I wrote down some quotes from this film.
Go on. Right.
I couldn't find it to download it anywhere. It wasn't available to buy properly. So we went to the dark web, couldn't find it there, and it was on YouTube all along. So,
which is always a good sign.
The reason they crash is because he's doing his hair just in case, and then they start fighting with each other. And when she steps out of the car, and he said, "You were messing with each other," he said, "No, we're not doing anything gay or anything."
Yes, I forgot that.
You're a lesbian, but why? Then he's talking about someone who he knows who's a bit butch. That's a dyke. This one just thinks she's one. It's our duty as men to turn gay to straight. I mean... It's so outrageous. I thought this is probably the reason why no one talks about it anymore, because they're scared to.
Mm.
And it's why everyone is involved in it has been cancelled.
Yeah, I mean, any film made after probably 1989, to be perfectly honest, wouldn't use those words and have that as your hero of the piece. Like, that's not the sympathetic babyface of the story, is it? But somehow that's the one that everyone's supposed to identify with. It feels like the kind of film a 17-year-old would write.
Yeah. And he was not.
Which, I mean, yeah, it feels quite juvenile, and like looking back, I'm kind of stunned it ever made it to the cinema. Peculiar, very peculiar.
I mean, the whole thing about but they do make him into an absolute idiot, though. To kind of turn it round. I mean, the whole thing about the Beetle having the trunk in the wrong place and all that. Oh, they do that same joke twice. And
That's how well written it is. They use the same joke.
And like he forgets that he's been told minutes earlier.
It's only an 85-minute film as well, so it's not like it's long enough to do that.
And the whole thing where it's almost Carry On as well, you know, where she's sitting on the bumper and stroking the legs and stuff. When she tells them that she's a lesbian, and like, he's always roll into his head, the one with the glasses.
We've seen some shit, and this might be the most absurd film we've watched.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it is. I really do.
It's up there with that symphony thing.
Yeah. And that's, I mean, that is what it is. That's an orchestral artistic piece. This is college students writing nonsense. This is the kind of shit I would imagine Jay and Neil from The Inbetweeners would write.
Yeah.
Like, it's that level of idiocy, I think.
I mean, when you have the constant dream sequences where they're shagging her.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very bordering on Jay Cartwrighty, I think, in parts. Still weird.
Yeah, even the line about being a virgin is very Jay.
It is, isn't it? I honestly think it's like it's something The Inbetweeners would have made. Which is obviously not going to be good. We've both given our crazies. Anything good about this film?
I haven't laughed this much in a very long time. And
I think it was supposed to be a comedy, wasn't it?
It can't not be, surely.
You'd have thought so. Like, it can't be that absurd and not aiming for a laugh, I think.
Yeah, because, I mean, you've got the staple 80s tits in place.
Of course.
This is the rule. But it's so absurd that it surely has to be a comedy, because otherwise it doesn't make sense anyway. Like, they're drinking the only water that is the wiper water, which then just gets drank anyway.
Which is what they do in Inbetweeners too, when they get stuck in the desert at the end as well.
This is what I'm saying.
I'd forgot about that, yeah. I think we found the link. I thought it was an interesting idea to have, like, effectively what would be a bottle episode in a TV series, but to do it in a film setting, to have, you know, a car accident and these people. I think they fucked it by keep having these random cameos appear, and, you know, anyone with half a brain would have just sorted it out with Nick Cage. I mean, I don't know if you'd want to get in the car with Nick Cage looking like that. But I think I liked the premise of it more so than I liked the delivery of it, I think.
It's a bit like... It was like a vehicle for a sketch show.
Yeah.
And all that...
yeah.
Like, where it, like, when SNL was funny. Like, it was like that kind of thing. Oh, these people are stranded here. Who's going to appear next? And then the next one comes through the door. That's what it seemed like. It was like a play of some kind.
Yeah.
But put on screen.
I mean, if this was like Big Bang Theory, I know we mentioned it earlier, you could imagine that it would be the guys and Penny sitting around talking about, oh, do you remember that time we whatever? And then we get a flashback. It feels like a flashback episode-y kind of thing as well.
Like Family Guy.
Yeah, it feels very recognisable. Whether or not it was taking tropes from them or they're taking tropes from it, probably the former rather than the latter. But it does feel like quite a recognisable trope, I think.
Yeah, it does. But this is so old that, like we've said this before about weird, obscure films, that maybe they are the catalyst for everything.
Quite possibly. Because there's going to be people out there who will have seen this shit, and it's probably going to be, you know, weirdos who watch everything, like us. So there is every chance that, yeah, it's just not the mainstream. And as it's on YouTube and no one's tried to make them take it down, presumably, that's probably an indicator of that.
Especially with nudity on YouTube, which is a bit my biggest shock.
Yeah. Because they have issues with the word boobs, let alone showing boobs. So, yeah.
But even saying that, did you enjoy it?
Not really.
Oh, come on.
Not really. I mean, I laughed at the absurdity of it. But as a piece of film, you wouldn't recommend it to anybody other than, you know, for a bad film night.
Yeah, I've got people who've got the same stupid sense of humour as me who I know will enjoy this stuff. But that is it. You can't. It doesn't. It nowhere near passes the mom test, and there's no point even trying.
No. I mean, like, I know you're a fan of Freddy Got Fingered, which I think is of a similar sort of level of stupidity.
Yeah.
But like, that's got a lot more to it than what they said. I don't think this even comes close to something of that level, which is saying something, because that's proper lowbrow fun, isn't it? Yeah. I don't think this is even to that level. Like, the jokes are so repetitive in it that it doesn't... Once you've seen the first 15 minutes, it kind of runs out of steam, I think. There's a reason it's only 85 minutes long, and to be honest, that's probably too long. That could have done 45 minutes, and that could have told the whole thing that they did. Yeah,
I think that's probably what this was. Like we said, it is like it's an episode. It's an episode of something.
Yeah,
maybe it's an episode of an anthology of comedy or something like that. Why that hasn't been done, who knows?
No, I mean, so you enjoyed it then, I'm guessing.
Well, I fucking loved it.
I enjoyed the experience more so than the...
Oh yeah, the film's it's shit. It's a shit film. It's not very well made. It's really badly acted. Everything about it from a technical point of view is terrible.
Yeah,
but was I entertained? Yes, I was, because I've got the sense of humour of a 15-year-old boy, and I know I have. And I'm not gonna deny that I haven't. And watching this was how, like, what some of them things, some of the stuff that you just don't see anymore because, whatever, progress. It kind of brought me back to, like, I'm pretty sure if you went back and watched Saved by the Bell on video, not the new versions that they're different to what was released at the time, there would have been jokes like this in there, guaranteed, because it was the 90s. Late 80s, early 90s. It was a time and place.
I mean, there's definitely... I remember there was the one episode where Zach Morris dresses up in the full Indian head garb and... Oh, what's he... He wasn't running water. He makes jokes about Native Americans and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you're 100% right. I'd be fairly certain there's jokes about lesbians and setting them straight in there, because it's the 90s, like you say.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And the fact that Emilio Estevez turns up when he's got a Hitler tash.
What the fuck was that about? I'd complete... Yeah, the hit... I hadn't put it down the notes. Why did he have a Hitler moustache? Like, it didn't... It meant nothing.
Look, every guest appearance made no sense.
None of it. It's just weird.
It was like a kind of brainstorming thing where you sit around and you think, I've got an idea for a character, but they don't belong anywhere. Oh, we'll write them in this road film that doesn't go anywhere. as a guest. That's what it seemed like.
Yeah, it almost feels like it.
But Cage's character in this, if he had his own show or film, you'd watch it day one. It's absurd.
Yeah, you are right. So was Cage good or bad? I don't think you can say it was good because it was like there was no acting there.
He was pissing about.
He was, wasn't he? Like it felt like he just thought, well, I'm either I'm getting paid and I don't care, or I'm not getting paid, so I definitely don't care.
Yeah. But he wasn't bad either because he was funny.
It served its purpose. Like you did laugh at it. It was more confusing than it was anything else, I think.
Yeah.
Like, I can't say it was good. It was bad because everything, I should say, or everyone was bad in this film, all the acting. It was either really under-delivered or over-delivered. It was never just normal. It was bizarre, utterly bizarre. Right, so if you enjoyed Never on Tuesday, you may... Before we go into that, right, her name was Tuesday. So why Never on Tuesday? What's the title about?
Maybe it's they're never going to get on Tuesday. Maybe that's what it means.
Maybe. It's weird because I say grammatical sentence, it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, because you think never on her. Yeah.
Is it a pun maybe? Is it like never on Friday and they changed it? I don't know. I don't know if there's something there that I just don't know about.
Yeah.
I don't know. Because they could have called it Crashing into Tuesday. That would have made more sense. Because it means, crashing into the day, and also they literally crashed into... It just doesn't... I don't get it.
Okay, so I just put never honour meaning. So I thought it might come up with something. And there's a song called Never on a Sunday.
Maybe it's that. Maybe it's somehow linked to that Never on Sunday. Never on a Sunday musical. I wonder if that's like what they're trying to intimate. But I've never heard of that. I don't know. Letters on a postcard if anyone knows. If you enjoyed Never on Tuesday, you may also like what you got.
I mean, anything by Tom Green, I think, in that time period, or like the stupid things like "Dude, where's my car?" stuff like that. That's juvenile stupidity. That's probably the name of what this is. If you've only grown up, you're not going to appreciate it. So stuff like that, and like things like Juice Bigelow. There you are, the first one, the good one.
I've never seen the sequel, to be fair, but I do remember kind of enjoying the first one.
The the tank, but the guy who the fish man.
Jeez, I sure saw it at the cinema as well.
Yeah,
incredible.
Juice Bigelow, male gigolo.
Yeah.
I'm sure. Was that Antonio Banderas? He wasn't Antonio Banderas, was he?
I don't think it was.
So Juice Bigelow.
I bet no one searched for Juice Bigelow for at least a decade.
He's got a 5.7. I thought he'd be a lot worse than that.
Yeah, that's surprisingly high.
It was... Oh, no, it's Ode for...
I don't know who he is.
Oh, or for her, I think I see you say. He was in The Mummy.
I can't picture him, to be honest, now. Oh, I don't know. My answer to that question is Clerks. I think will be the one, because it's set in one place, pretty much like the only time they're not in the quick stop. They're on top of the quick stop. So yeah, Clerks for me is the one. It's basically a bottle episode with two 20-somethings talking about shit.
Mm.
So yeah, I think Clerks is the one. If you enjoyed that, I think you'll like Clerks. Right, so next week, Stu, we're doing a musicast. So Mr. Matthew will be back to tell us what to listen to. I can't remember what the album is that we're going to have to endure for that particular episode, but I'm sure we'll find out. But we'll let you know on the Twitter, which is @CageFightingPod, same as all the other socials. It's cagefightingpod@gmail.com for any emails. Make sure you've got us on your podcatcher, and a 5-star review would be phenomenal. And for this week, Stu, would you like to say goodbye?
Yeah, any of our American friends, let us know if you've heard of French and Saunders, please. So it is imperative we know. Goodbye, everyone.
And it's goodbye from me. And remember, be excellent to each other.